Hello, before this video starts, I just want to say I know the audio's bad. I'm sorry. At least the microphone's on this time. Thank you for bearing with me through my technical difficulties, and I'm sorry again. Okay. Hello. So this is my second time trying to record this video. I did try last night. I'll put the clip in here. You might be asking yourself, why is it so dark outside? That is because it is currently 3:22 a.m. But, I do fear that it is indeed currently 12:30. And so we're gonna try this again, and I have to do this because I'm reading the second book, and none of it will make sense if I don't put a video out on the first. So here we go. So I'm here today to talk to you about Bunny by Mona Awad. This book is like a mind. Like, it really messes with you, and it's long. Probably longer than it should be, but I do love it. I do love this book. I am one of the people who's in love with the concept so much that they love the book. So I'm gonna tell you about it. So we open the book, and we are with Samantha. She's in an MFA program, which, if you didn't know, is a Master's of Fine Arts. I didn't know that. I did have to Google it. So now that we're with Samantha, she's at a party. She looks to her right, and she sees the bunnies. This is Caroline. Or Coraline. We're just going to call her Caroline. This is Caroline, Kira, Eleanor, and Victoria. These are the four bunnies. I'm going to give you a quick description of them. Eleanor is like this goddess. Like, she's considered like a moon goddess in the book. She's not a goddess, but they like think of her like that. She wears a lot of white. She wears bell sleeves. She has a lot of gems and crystals all the time. Then there's Kira, who's considered, she's like, she has ginger hair. It's like here. She wears a red dress a lot. She's like, they call her Creepy Doll because she looks like a creepy doll. Then there's Victoria, who's like kind of goth. Her hair is never brushed. And not to say that goth people's hair isn't brushed. Her hair's never brushed. She's like always wearing like black boots. She's like constantly dressed like in. You can tell in the book there's a way that she wants to dress and a way that she does, and I'll get into that. And then there's Caroline. She has a blonde bob. She has a blonde bob, and she's like super like preppy, like she's really into appearances. And at this party they all start hugging, and they hug really tight, like to the point where the book describes it like they're all gonna just like explode, which happens a lot, like they do it so much that it's like in every like chapter. And then we are introduced to our other character. Her name's Ava. She is Samantha's best friend. And she is like very like she's alternative. Ava's the best character in this book. She's like she wears a veil in front of her face. She has two different colored eyes. She wears this like dragon dress at one point in the book, and all kinds of stuff. So we're here, and the bunnies say something dumb. I don't really remember what it is exactly, but Ava starts laughing, and like she throws her head back and laughs like she's like giggling. And they look over, all four of them, like, I think it's, like, described as, like, a snake head or something. It was, like, all four snake heads looked over, I think is how it described in the book. And the Duchess, or Eleanor, waves her hand up at Samantha and is like, hey, like, cool to meet you. Which is weird because she's never done that. And they've been in the same cohort for the entire year, and she's never once tried to communicate to them, according to Samantha. So, then from there, they leave. They go. From here, Samantha and Ava just go home. Basically, they go to, if I get things wrong in this book, by the way, I'm sorry. It's complicated, and it's long, and I read it like a month ago. So, we're running. We're trying. So, they go back to Ava's house, and her and Ava have a really strong connection. Like, they are close. Like, they dance with their imaginary tango partner. I forgot his name. I think it's Diego. I could be wrong. They are always, like, together 24/7. She basically lives at Samantha's house, or she basically lives at Ava's house because Samantha's apartment is not very good, and it's like broken down, and it's kind of sad. And they watch the bunnies go down the sewer every night and try to convince them to go down the sewer because like to get to the warmth essentially of the basement. They're real close. But that night when they're dancing, she gets a text message, and they're like, hey, do you want to come to Smut Salon? Smut Salon is essentially like their cult meeting. It's like where the bunnies like sacrifice and do all kinds of other stuff, and they're so she decides she can't decide if she wants to go or not. And Ava basically tells her, if you want to go, you can go. I'm not going to stop you, but don't lie to me about you wanting to go. So she goes. She goes and she ends up at the front door. And she waits for a long time at the front door, like a long time. And so she goes inside once they invite her in, and Caroline's the first one to invite her in. She takes them up, and they're all sitting in a room together, and they're talking. They each share like something erotic from either a book or their own life. All of them, like, it's like a sex story essentially. One of them's like from Little Red Riding Hood. The other one is like just a poem. The other one is just like her doing a sexual exploration on Cinnamon. But the problem is Samantha didn't come prepared. She doesn't have anything to share, and they want her to share something. So she lies. She talks about this boy that she knew when she was younger. His name, I don't remember his name. She talks about him and how they used to die together on stage every night during their play, and they never did they died together on stage every night, but they never were together. But she lies and says that one night they went out back and had sex, and the bunnies eat this up. Like, they eat it up so much that in the book, it describes them as their eyes turn to slits and ears start coming out. And Samantha's drinking. Like, she's drinking a lot, and it's like this bunny punch. It's pink, and she's drinking a lot of it, and she can't remember anything. Like, literally nothing. She wakes up the next morning in her bed with the red cloak over her that Kira was wearing, because that's her Little Red Riding Hood thing. And she is in her apartment, and she can only remember the bunny rabbits and like the ears and that kind of stuff. But then she looks out her window and she sees a rabbit on her mantle, or like in the window mantle. And she just like shoos it away, and she gets ready and she goes to school. And she goes and sits at school, and they don't talk to her. They pretend like nothing ever happened between them. And she just goes on her day, and she goes and sees Jonah, who we love. Jonah is this guy. He's super nice to her. I'm pretty sure he likes her, but I'm not like, yeah, I think he does. But it's like very, very like light. Like he doesn't really do much. Like, but her and Jonah, they have this like kind of flirtatious relationship. But Jonah is like an ex-drug addict, so he's not really trying to date her, and she's not really trying to date him because she's dealing with all of this stuff in the book. But she sees Jonah, she's talking to him a little bit, and the lion comes out. The lion is their ex-professor, and what's it called? He comes out and he says hi to her, but there's a whole thing that went on with them, and they went through so much together, but we'll get there. And then she goes to class, and the bunnies are sitting there, obviously not sitting with her. They're sitting across the table, but Frosco, who's their professor, she tries to criticize Samantha's work, and the bunnies stand up for her. And this is the start of her becoming a bunny, of her joining their like cult. And so from there, we leave. Bunnies leave, and she leaves, and she goes home. She kind of just lives her life for a little bit. And the bunnies don't really talk to her, but you know who else isn't talking to her? Ava's not talking to her. So no one's talking to her. And then she goes and looks, and a few days later, she goes to her little, what's it called? Her and Ava go to this dancing thing every month or whatever, and she goes there to see Ava. She's trying to find Ava. And she goes there, and Ava is there. She goes to this dance thing, and she goes and tries to find Ava, and she goes and sees Ava, and they kind of talk, not really, and she was going to go see the bunnies because they invited her to Smut Salon again, and Ava's like, if you want to go, you can go. Go. And they get in this little fight, and Ava makes fun of her, and she cries and runs away and goes to the bunnies. And this is where we really start to see Samantha merging with the bunnies. They essentially become one person. So she goes to the bunnies, and they are just, like, they're comforting her. They're being like, Samantha, it's okay. Like, we don't need her. Goes and sits in, I want to say it's Kira's room, and Caroline is braiding her I just want to say now, if I say Caroline or Coraline, I mean both. Just so you know. But Coraline is braiding her hair, and it's like really tight. Like they describe it like it's visceral knots. Like she literally starts crying because of how bad it hurts. And then Kira walks out, and they're all talking to her from another room. But Eleanor and Victoria are dancing with two men, and they're like thinking, she's like looking out there, and she's like, who are these men? Like I've never seen them before. Like this is really weird. And once they finish her braid, she goes out there, and the girls go upstairs, and they just leave. And she sits there, and she's talking to them, and she's trying to have conversation. They cannot hold conversation. Their only answer is, Samantha, who are you? Who are you? We don't know who you are. And like this is like a whole thing. Like that's like all they're talking about. They're like, Samantha, we would love to hear about you. So the girls, she starts hearing like bloody murder screaming. The girls come back downstairs, and then there's a knock at the door, and they tell her to go answer it. In comes the man that she was talking about, her high school crush. And her and him start dancing, and he starts talking to her. And then she asks him, she's like, how have you been? Like, how's school? Like, this, and this. And he starts kind of screaming, and the girls are like, oh, damn, like, this is going to get rough. He starts running in circles and screaming, and then his head explodes. And so now she wakes up in Kira's bed, not her own bed, in Kira's bed. And Kira's like, hey, like, we have to get to school. And she's in one of Kira's dresses, and she's like, here's a pill, take it. It'll make you feel better. And then she takes this pill. It looks like a Tic Tac. And she also, I don't understand why she's taking a pill if it looks like a Tic Tac, but you know. So they get ready, they go to school, and this is when Samantha becomes a bunny. She essentially becomes one of them. This is when the pronouns switch to we instead of me. So it was always, I did this, I lived through this, I did that. No, now it's, we lived through this, we did that, we lived through this, and that's like the whole thing. Like that's what it changes to. And I think that's such an amazing choice of it to change to we. The bunnies kind of just live. So they start just going. So it's them going to the cafe, hugging in the courtyard, talking to each other, loving each other. It's like 4 chapters of that. They're going into the smut salon. There is one part though. So they go to the smut salon. They're like, we think you're ready. She's like, ready for what? They make her sit in the corner, and they set up this thing. So there's speakers everywhere. There's a doll covered in blood in the middle. There's all kinds of stuff going on. And they have a bunny in the center of this altar. And they all stand around the bunny, and it explodes and covers everyone in blood. And she just kind of sits there and stares at it. And then a man walks in, and he freaks out, and Kira pulls out an axe and kills him. And this happens many, many, many more times. They're like, hey, why don't you get a bunny? Why don't you go get a bunny? They're like, just walk outside and get a bunny.
Hello,
and
I'm editing right
so
now. I thought I'd clarify a few things.
Tries,
so first,
but she doesn't.
Every sacrifice.
But on the way
spoke,
in,
like,
she
all the
saw
bunny
the
stuff is
stag.
happening
She was
inside
like
Kira's
very
attic.
enamored by the stag.
Also,
that she
the
saw.
lion. What happened between him and Victoria was that she got really drunk one night and told him like how she felt, and she had like this breakdown to him, and he did not like that, and he never spoke to her again. And then Victoria, the whole thing with her wanting to dress different is she tries, like multiple times in the book, she tries to dress different, and the bunnies just won't let her. They keep telling her, like, that's not modest. They literally tell her that she looks like a slut if she dresses anything but how they see fit. And then also, Ava, because I bring up the end that she's a swan, originally, Samantha would go to the lake and watch this swan dance every single day, and she would just keep doing that, and that's how Ava was formed. Also, the bunnies, on the very first bunny salon, they told her to go out and get a bunny, and she couldn't get the bunny, so they just didn't let her back in the house, and they made her walk home, and that's how she ends up home. Also, I forgot to mention again that the bunny guys, they don't have like genitalia, so they can't have sex, which is why him having sex with her is so important. It's why I bring it up later. You'll understand what I'm saying in about 10 seconds. He's wearing cool clothes, he's sitting like in a cool position, and the bunnies flock him. They run after him. They go talk to him. He's like sitting there, he's like, I have to get my bus. And he leaves. And she's just sits there, and they're like, oh, that's like crazy. So she is still with the bunnies, and they're walking one day, I believe to the mini cupcake place, and Ava pulls her into an alley. And it's in her head. I think this is such a great part of this book. It's such a highlight. She's screaming and she's like, "Bunnies, where'd you go? I miss you." Like basically, like she's like a limb that got ripped off of bigger body, and I love that. I love that she can't even process. And she's talking to Ava, but she's like, "Who is this girl with the dark clothes? She's scary. I'm scared. She's awful." Like talking about that, and Ava's like, "Girl, where the hell have you been?" And she's like, "Well, I've been up to things." And she starts to kind of come back. She's like, "Ava, I missed you." They go to this diner, and then they're just they are talking, and then freaking I believe the bunnies come in, and they're like, and Ava gets up and leaves, and she doesn't leave, and Eleanor says something to her on the way out, and she asks Eleanor what she said to her, and she's like, "I don't know, she's your friend." And then she goes to Jonah, and it's like, "Jonah, we need to find her." So they drive around looking for her, and they can't find her. And then she's walking down the street, and she sees the one guy, the guy that the bunnies think is so hot, and she follows him all the way to Ava's house. And she walks in, and she sees Ava. Well, she doesn't walk in. She actually waits on the step for Ava for a long time. Like, so long that the book doesn't even know how long she's waiting. And Ava comes up on her, and she's like, are you, like, here? Like, and she starts talking to her, and she lets her inside, and they go back to normal. And then she sees the guy, and she's like, "Who's that?" And she's like, "Oh, like, he's my boyfriend." She doesn't explicitly say that, but you know he's her boyfriend. And there's a part where she's like, "Did you guys fuck?" And she's like, "Obviously," which I think is so interesting. But so Ava's at her house, and she has to go do something. I want to say she has to go either go to a workshop or go see the bunnies. She leaves, and Ava's like, "Yeah, I'll always be here." And then she goes back. She goes to the workshop. No, she has to go to the workshop. That's where she's going. She goes to the workshop, and she sees the bunnies. And keep in mind, the man that is with Ava has been saying constantly, "Oh, like, I have this project I'm working on. I consider it performance art." And she's like, "Performance art? Like, what the hell do you mean, performance art?" And she went through his stuff. She was looking through his stuff up where her room used to be, because that's where he's staying now. And really, not much has changed. She says it looks like he almost isn't living there. Like, he's barely there. Like, so she goes to her freaking workshop, and she walks in, and everyone's kind of lost it. Um, or Caroline is covered in cuts that say "Eat me." She's like bleeding. She has this little box thing. It's like a, I don't know how to describe it. Like a takeout box. They all have takeout boxes. And she opens it, and in there, I believe, is a literal cupcake. And then Victoria has like bruises all around like her inner legs, and she opens hers, and it's literally just like, I think it's just a bunch of words. And then what's it called? Eleanor, we never see what's in hers, but we can assume that it's one of the proems. Um, and freaking, I believe, who am I missing? Oh, Kira, she opens hers. It's a creepy doll. So from here, they all arrive separately. They're all fighting, and Samantha has no idea what the hell is going on. And then Samantha runs home essentially to find Ava and tell her what happened. But she walks in, and there's an axe in a swan on the floor, and there's a bunch of blood everywhere. And or essentially the swan's there, but it's Ava. And in front of it is sitting the guy, and he picks up the axe and starts walking. He walks all the way to the smut salon with Samantha following him. The girls are inside the window, and he picks up this axe and starts walking in to kill them. They walk in, and they're all sitting there, and none of the stuff is there. And keep in mind, when they found Ava dead or whatever, the room was nothing. There was nothing in there. The whole house was empty. And so she walks in, and they're like laughing at her. They're like, "You won't kill us. Like, I don't know who you think you are." And then they all come outside because he's standing there, and they all start running past her. And he looks at her, and she pulls out the axe, and she slices his throat, and he dies, and the bunnies freak out. And the essential prologue, it's not a prologue, but it's literally a prologue, is just them sitting there in graduation, all looking at each other, still angry, and covered in like neck braces and arm casts and stuff, because they like tried to get to him so fast in the book that they were literally like trampling each other. Um, but when she kills him, he turns into a stag and he runs away. That's the end of the story. So now I'm gonna get into what I think. I think this book is great. I really do. I just love this book. I love the concept of it. It's so incredibly just. I just love this book. I really do. I don't. I honestly think. Hello? I honestly think there's not much this book could have done that would have really pissed me off. I just love the concept. I love the concept of four women just in a cult. Are you kidding me? That's so fucking cool at a college, and they're sacrificing bunnies to turn them into men. That is amazing. That's great. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. There are a few things I think could have been done better though. First of all, I wish the book was, I just think, a little smaller. It feels like there's a lot in here. What I would have taken the bulk out of it would have been the ending and where she's like fully a bunny. There's some things in here that aren't really necessary. I mean, I still kind of loved it either way. I was eating this whole thing up. I read this in like 2 days. Like I devoured this book. Um, I don't know if the new copy is as big as this one because I know this is the old publisher, but either way, it could be a little bit shorter. I think also it starts to lose itself at some points. I think it it kind of struggles to keep a consistent story. But here's the thing, I love that. I know not everyone's going to love that and I know it's not for everyone, but I love that. I love the way the story breaks down. I love that you don't know what's going on and that you're reading it wondering what the hell? Like I just have such a love for that. I think it's such a great thing. There are a few things in here though that I really just don't like. I hate the similes. There are some similes in here that are actually dog shit, and there is no other way to put it. I read some of them and I thought, girl, what the fuck is this? It, you know. I also think sometimes in trying to be funny, this book can come off is a little like just not talented. I'm not saying Mona Awad's not talented. I'm saying sometimes this book comes off like it doesn't really know what it wants to say. And I don't get me wrong, I still love this book, but I think it can come off like it doesn't really know what it wants to say in some places. In some places, like when it comes to the artistic aspect of things, it doesn't really come up with what the art means. It always just kind of describes it as, oh, you can't understand it. But I feel like if we understood what they're trying to convey with the art, we can understand the characters better and their motivations. Also, I forgot to mention, at the end of this book, the true ending is she's talking to Jonah and she looks down at the mud and says, hey, like talking to the mud. I don't understand that. And I'm going to give you a little bit of spoiler now. In the second book, which I am currently reading, and it'll probably be up like 3 days after I put this, um, Jonah has the same name, and no one else in that book has the same name, which implies that Jonah is real. But if Jonah's real, then why the hell this is probably my biggest pet peeve with this book. Why is Jonah considered to be one of her hallucinations if he is real? That doesn't make sense. I don't know. I think honestly that like the crossover between this book and the second book has like a very thin line of like what it becomes. I think this book kind of breaks down. I still love it though. I just love this. I just think it's such like a great idea for a book. Like it's just so like it's just so good. Like it's everything. It's everything I wanted it to be. The transition between this book and the second is not the best. I think it's interesting, but I also think it struggles in some ways to carry the overall story forward. If you're going to read the second book, you have to know it really doesn't connect much to this one. Um Also, I understand, right, that Ava and what's his name, the other guy, I think his name's Max. We're going to say his name's Max. Have like they're literally manifestations of Samantha. That's why they hate the bunnies. That's why they Max tries to essentially destroy the bunnies. That's why Max loves Ava. That's why Ava is the way she is. But also at the same time, I I feel like I understand that Samantha is schizophrenic, but I also feel like in some aspects this book could have been better if she wasn't. Not saying we don't love the representation though, but I feel like if she was just fully mentally like there, this would have been amazing. Imagine, okay, here's what I always thought would have been better. Imagine the bunnies made, because we obviously know Samantha made Ava and Max. Imagine if the bunnies made Ava. Imagine if they killed Ava and she walks in and they're like, yeah, we had to do it at some point. That would have been so much cooler than just kind of, oh, you made her with your mind. And I mean, that's fine, but I think it would have been cooler if they made her. It brings more of the cult aspect inside. I saw people talking about that they didn't really like that there wasn't much of like what's it called? Like there wasn't much cult in it. I see it, but I also don't. I was so enamored by the story that I didn't even really care. I do fear I am a supporter of this book. I just think it's great. I really do. I think this is a great novel. Is it the best thing I've read? No, I wouldn't say it's the best thing I've read. I've read a lot better than this, but I think it's average. It's a little. I would say it's above average, which is I think where most people rank it. It's above average. It's not the best thing ever made, and there definitely is some issues with it, but it's definitely not the worst. Um, I just wish we could have honed in a little bit more on what we needed to write. I also think if this was a 200-page book, it would have been great. Short, sweet, and fast. That would have been so amazing for this. But I don't know necessarily if how that works with like publishers and stuff. If you're allowed to make shorter things, I'm not sure. But I just think I don't understand why this wasn't made shorter, and I don't understand why we couldn't have just let the bunnies be more malevolent. Let them make Ava. Let them kill Ava. Let them be like, yeah, we had to do it at some point. We had to kill her, and then let Samantha freak out. I also think it is a little heavy-handed with this metaphor sometimes. I will say things you know before you're supposed to know them. Like when Ava asks if, oh, like, can we make things out of bunnies? And I look at her and they're like, no. That really spoiled it for me. I smelled it coming a mile away, which I know you're kind of supposed to, but I wish she would have. I wish Mona Awad would have just not. Like she would have just let us kind of figure it out ourselves. That would have been more interesting than like telling us. This book tells a lot. It's not the worst offender of it. God, the fisherman. Oh my God, that is the worst offender. This is not the worst offender of it. And I still love this book, but I just think it tells a lot of things that it could show easier. Like there's just so many times where it like refers to things like there's one conversation that Ava and Samantha have where she's like, oh, like, yeah, like you're just so perfect, I feel like I made you. We didn't have to put that in. We didn't have to do that. You could have left that out. That's like my complaints with this book. I just feel like it's very heavy-handed. It wants you to feel a certain way and it will make sure you do. I also think the plot twist is predictable. I know that that's part of the book, and I understand that. I just wish it would have been a little bit more interesting. Something to give me a bit more something, you know? Uh, Overall, though, I love it. I think it's great. I think it's amazing. I think Mona Awad is very talented. On my Goodreads review, I believe I gave it a 4.5 stars. I would say still the same. I think it's great. I think though there are some issues, as I've said before. I also think that sometimes this book starts to become incoherent, which I don't mind necessarily, but I think at some points it becomes so incoherent that it doesn't even know what it's talking about. But I still love it. I really do. I just think it's such a great idea. I think the concept is so amazing. I honestly don't think, like, when it comes to concepts, I don't think you can beat this. Like, this is just everything. Like, it's so good. Like, it's so great. I recommend this so heavy, especially if you just want something just to read. This book, though you do have to pay attention, but if you just want, like, a cult book, this will do it for you. This will do it for you every time. It is great. If you want something that doesn't tell you necessarily everything at the end, this will do it for you. However, if you want something that doesn't tell you everything at the end, This Thing Between Us by Gus Morano, that is everything. That is everything. That is probably the best book I've ever read. But with that, that's it for me.